This is a show with no particular niche, baby. It's always about hanging out. Maybe we'll laugh at some stuff, maybe we'll learn something new, but it's always about hanging out, me and you. Hi, hello, and welcome to That Thing with James. I'm your host, James, and this, as I say in the song, is a podcast about nothing in particular. I had an idea last night that I have since abandoned. At first, I was thinking maybe I will do an episode titled Herbert Hoover, aka Fuckface. I wasn't going to use the aka. It was going to be : Herbert Hoover, Fuckface. And I had a whole spiel worked out. Today, we're talking about Herbert Hoover, whom I shall, for the remainder of this episode, refer to as Fuckface. But when I got into the details early this morning, because I woke up a little after 5 a.m., I discovered there was, of course, a lot of reading that I needed to do. And I did quite a bit of reading and decided that maybe if I do a Herbert Hoover episode, that might be best saved for a later date. Because of, I was going to make some correlations between his presidency and what we're going through now, that he enacted the, the Smoot-Hawley Act, which was tariffs, tariffs on most countries in the world, which did nothing to help the Great Depression. It just worsened it. His ideal of rugged individualism, his elbow rubbing with big business, fat cats, his racism, the fact that he deported a shit ton of Mexican Americans, somewhere I read that was 40 to 60% were U.S. citizens, like people born here. Nope, get them out, ship them back to Mexico. And just extremely racist individual, W.E.B. Du Bois. Is it Du Bois or Du Bois? Let's say Du Bois, because it is a French name at least. Called him an absolute fucking racist, which was spot on. But then there was also some other stuff too. He did expand the state. He created a lot of federal agencies. It's just he was working in the wrong fucking direction. He didn't want government intervention to solve fucking problems. He wanted volunteerism. He wanted to leave it up to businesses out of the goodness of their heart to help out the working person. Don't make them reliant on the dole. That sort of thing. The more I read, the more I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have a fun episode reading Today I Fucked Up on Reddit. Why? Because it's fun and I don't have to think so much, because I really need some time to not think so much. I've been making the most of it yesterday, and I'm going to make the most of it today. What is today? Sunday, April 13th, 2025 at 9:27 a.m. Central Time Zone. This episode comes out the following Friday. So by the time you hear this and or see it, it will be the Friday I just mentioned. Hi, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I'm going to read Today I Fucked Up because, it's been a hell of a week. It's been a hell of a month. And it really culminated within the last week. From today, again, at the time of this recording, it's Sunday, April 13th. And a week ago, that would be April, 8th? Is that what it is? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No. That would be 6. Yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I studied theater, not mathematics, for a reason. I can do maths. It just takes me a little bit of time to get there, okay? Don't judge. Don't judge. If you want to come at me with your times tables and your plus and minuses, your additions and subtractions, I'm going to hit you with some Antonin Artaud, okay? I'll slap you across the face with some theater of cruelty. I bet you don't know about that, but I do. And so did Jim Morrison. I watched The Doors last night. I haven't seen that movie in so long. And oh, man, that's a good movie. Man, Oliver Stone's a hell of a filmmaker. He's so good. He is so good at capturing the trip. He even visually, the way he has it set up, whatever he does with the camera and the lighting, somehow he does a really fantastic job of capturing what it's like to experience the trip. You know, of course, I'm talking about the trip of experiencing life. That's what I'm talking about. And, you know, that sort of thing. Hey, while it's on my mind, why not help support the show? I've got a shit ton of bonus episodes. Hey, if you're new to the show, hi, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Thanks for coming again. And if you didn't know, or maybe if you do know, I've got a lot. I've got over 100 bonus episodes of this show. I've got audio and video. Audio only listeners, in case you didn't know, this show is on YouTube. Just search up That Thing with James and my channel will pop up with all the episodes of this show, plus some the other videos I made in previous years. Where was I going? Yes. I have over 100 bonus episodes, and you can access them by supporting the show at patreon.com/thatthingwithjames. Once again, that is patreon.com/thatthingwithjames. Save a pigeon, feed an artist, subscribe today at patreon.com/thatthingwithjames. You know, I thought that was pretty clever when I thought it up. Save a pigeon, feed an artist. I don't know that everyone will get it, and that's okay. So I'm going to explain the joke to you. The joke is that I'm the artist, and I'm so hungry, I'm so starving, that I am not above eating a pigeon or a dove. Because what are doves but fancy pigeons? They're pigeons. They're just white pigeons, you bird racists. Yeah, support the show, patreon.com/thatthingwithjames. And to those of you who are already patrons, thanks so much. You rock. The link is written in the episode description, right along with my social handle and show email that I very rarely check because I just got in the habit of never getting any emails. So if you've emailed me and I've not read it, sorry. Maybe if you comment on YouTube and tell me to go read your damn email, I will do it then, because I do check YouTube comments. Why? Because they notify me. I don't have notifications turned on for the show email. And a subreddit. I also have a subreddit. Where was I going? Yeah. We're going to read some, yeah. Let me get a sip of water, and I'm going to tell you what happened this past week. I thought I had a break-in. I had to arm myself with whatever I could find and try to hunt someone down in my home. And I'm going to tell you about that after I take a sip of water. Just a second. This was a long winter, a long and harsh winter with, I think, 3 separate snowstorms and ice. It was a very long and harsh winter. Yet in the week leading up to the first day of spring, it seemed the cold and the bitter wind was gone. My body no longer had to curl and recoil in pain against frigid winds and harsh days. I could breathe again. It was warm. And then spring came, and with it, another cold snap. 30-degree weather, strong winds, rain, and I was out in it. And the weeks leading up to the first day of spring had been very busy. I haven't had much of a break, just between day job, taking care of business, and trying to tend to my own personal affairs and aspirations, things I must pursue in order to feel okay writing. Because if I don't do it, I'm in a bad way. It was a long, long winter, and it came back for one last hurrah a week ago, especially on the weekend. And last weekend, the 6th, etc., I had been out accompanying a family member who was visiting town, and we had to stand outside for a while and endure winds, strong winds, bitter gales of gusts and disgusting weather. And it was rough. It was rough. And I really just wanted a day to do nothing. I desperately needed a do nothing day. And I didn't do it. I didn't take a do nothing day. So the night, Saturday, let's see. Let me pull up a calendar here instead of guesstimating where I am. Saturday, the 4th, April 4th. No, that would be 5th. April 5th, going on into early morning, really. Sunday, April 6th. I was asleep, getting some much needed rest, prepared for a Sunday of doing nothing. Much deserved, much earned nothing. Just veg out, play some video games, rest, try to recover before beginning yet another work week. Yet, as I was asleep, I slept earlier than I anticipated. I wanted to stay up late Saturday night to try to maximize the amount of time I had to do nothing consciously. But I passed out around 11:30 p.m. Then there was a bang and a shattering, like glass shattering. The bang at first I thought was a gunshot. And the shattering glass was close, very close. Not too far from the foot of my bed, as a matter of fact. See, there's a window in my bedroom. And whatever that bang was, it had hit the bedroom window. And after a split second, I realized that did not sound like a gun, but that was certainly glass, and that was certainly my bedroom window. And so, in the dark, we all started. Me, my girlfriend, my dog, we all started. Dog didn't bark. He quietly cried. It was very sad. And I was trying to tell everyone, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. Be quiet. I was listening for intruders. This is a true story, mind you. I'm telling you what happened a week ago. It was 1 a.m. And I felt around on the ground, blind. I didn't have my glasses on. The lights were all off, except for the porch light right near my bedroom window. And I didn't feel any glass on the floor. And then I remembered, oh, that's right. I still have plastic up, like thermal plastic to stop drafts because my apartment is very drafty. Even the electrical outlets have drafts. And I've done everything I can to plug and mitigate every source of draft in this apartment. And so I still had plastic up because nights were still cold. And I realized I'm not feeling any glass on the floor beneath this window. Maybe it was caught by the plastic. Yet I listened. I pressed my ear against the dim of the night, and I listened. Nothing moved, nothing mumbled, not a breath but my own, and the dog quietly whimpering. I put him up on the bed with the mama, and I grabbed something to defend myself, and quietly, very quietly, well, I put on some pants because I sleep in the nude. Quietly, I swept through the apartment, checking corners, closets, behind shower curtains. No sign of an intruder aside from the bang and shattering glass. I looked outside, saw no one, except when I went back to the bedroom, I creaked open the blinds, expecting to see someone on the other side, and I saw for sure, no, it was the bedroom window was shattered, straight through. And we called the police, non-emergency, because I saw no sign of an intruder. We reported it. They said this was vandalism, so maybe they'd send out a detective sometime. I don't know when. Put on some boots, went outside, and that bastard wind. It had gotten even colder, and the wind was even stronger. There was glass all over, and a rock that had not been there before. A rock about the size of my palm, about the same thickness too. A rock that had not been there before. And I had last been out along that way around 10 to take the dog out for last call, last potty. There was no rock there. I noticed details. So the suspect rock was there, a bit further from the window than I anticipated. And I thought back and I remembered, wait, I didn't hear footsteps. Had there been feet nearby, they would need to be someone as sneaky as me, because I'm a very sneaky person. Not malicious, but I can be stealthy if needed, or if I want to be. Unless someone was as stealthy as me, which is, not everyone is as stealthy as me. I'm one stealthy guy. There were no footsteps. No pitter-patter of running, no creaking of someone walking, trying to sneak. And from the distance of the rock from the window, it seemed the rock had bounced off. Someone had a decent arc on the rock. Maybe they were a ways away from wood that I would have heard someone stepping on. And the glass that had shattered was all outside. Well, the majority of it was on the wood walkway right below the bedroom window. And it occurred to me, someone threw a rock and it bounced off, and I guess the window was hardy enough that it didn't just shatter and let the rock straight through, because why else would the rock be there on the outside? Of course, it wasn't until the afternoon the following day that I realized something I never noticed before. It's a double pane window, and the rock only shattered the outermost pane. The inner pane didn't even have a crack on it. So something of pressure, the heat inside my apartment, the cold outside, the arc and force and weight of the rock, the thing bounced off, shattered the outer pane of window. Rock landed out there. So in the dark, I cleaned it up, but I didn't know this at the time. I thought it went clean through. So in the dark, against this fucking wind, I spent 2 hours in the wee morning of Sunday, frigid wind, fighting to try to get plastic up over the window, because at that time I thought it was clean straight through, and I didn't want to put any more wind pressure on the plastic I already had up inside. I'd put hours and hours of work into getting this place sturdy against the harshness of winter, okay? And it was a struggle. I cleaned up all the glass I could see. I put plastic up over the window outside, and I went back in and stayed up until about 4 a.m., 4:30, when I just passed out from exhaustion, and then woke up maybe at 7 or so. We were all very on edge, because Again, it wasn't until the afternoon that Sunday that I realized the thing had not gone through, but still, had someone tried to break into our apartment? Had someone tried to throw glass into our bedroom? Someone knew we were home? Why would someone throw glass through our bedroom window at 1 a.m? My first thought when it happened was that maybe it was just some drunk idiot or some drunk idiot teenager. But then I couldn't shake it. Like maybe someone was trying to throw a rock in. And one of the first things I looked for when I went outside before I cleaned everything up, when I was trying to figure out what happened, and when I saw the rock, I looked on the rock to see if there was a message writ. Because I can think of a few reasons why someone would want to put a message on a rock thrown through a bedroom window. Racist stuff, that sort of thing. I can think of a few reasons why, but there was no message on the rock. And the rock did appear as though it had been picked up from the surrounding area. So someone in the vicinity picked up a rock and threw it at our window. Now, was it intentional or not? I don't know. I still am open to the idea that it was just some dumbass who threw a rock. My girlfriend said maybe it was just a drunk person who got, dropped off at the wrong place by some rideshare and was pissed off that they were dropped at the wrong place and just picked up a rock and threw it at some random window. It's a possibility. And it wasn't until the following day, Monday, when the office, my apartment complex's office opened up. I brought pictures. I'd already submitted a work order for maintenance to fix this thing. I brought the evidence over to the property manager, who's pretty cool. I like the people at my place. And she instantly connected it to something that had happened 2 weeks prior. It turns out there was almost a shootout right in front of my apartment, and it may have had something to do with my window getting broken. And I'll get into that right after this quick water break. Am I even going to read Today I Fucked Up? Fuck, I might just read that on the bonus episode. Water time. Flashback to a year and a half, possibly 2 years ago. Some people move into a neighboring building in my apartment complex. The guy we knew first, we called him Jeepers Creepers. I don't recall ever getting his actual name, but we just simply referred to him as Jeepers Creepers because he had about 8 vehicles, all of which were jalopies, that he parked on the property for a year until the property managers were like, you're taking up too many goddamn spots all the time. You're bringing your 8 junker vehicles here and you're working on them outside all the time. You can only have 1 vehicle here. 2 vehicles per unit, per apartment. So that means you can only have 1 vehicle here. To which he acquiesced, he conceded, and this was only within like the last 8 months. Finally, just kept 1 vehicle here. Now he rotated it between his 8 piece of shit vehicles, but he then started bringing just 1. But because he drove these things around and was always they were just piece of shit vehicles, we called him Jeepers Creepers. Which was a humorous. Of course, we never told him. We called him Jeepers Creepers. He didn't know our names. We didn't know his name, but we talked to him all the time because we saw him outside all the time over the past year and a half to 2 years. It was always passing. It was always congenial, neighborly conversations like, "Hey, how you doing?" Just light chit chat, small talk. Never any beef, nothing wrong between us. It was always a friendly wave and smile when we passed by. And, but the reference was to the movie Jeepers Creepers, where the scary person's a campy ass horror movie from late 90s, early 2000s, where the horror character, the antagonist, is driving just this like creepy piece of shit vehicle. And well, our neighbor Jeepers Creepers, although he was not creepy, his vehicles reminded us of that movie. So from that point on, we just always referred to him as Jeepers Creepers. And then his girlfriend, we called, well, I'm the one that coined it, JCBM, aka or unpacked Jeepers Creepers baby mama. Yeah, Jeepers Creepers had a girlfriend with whom they had a really just cute little girl, like 3-4-year-old girl, little cutie pie. And we never got her name either. We saw her every now and then too, and it was always congenial. We let her little girl pet our dog, who's just a little cute puppy. Even though he's 3, he still looks like a puppy, really. He's a little cutie pie. Cosmo is his name, the dog. And, we were all cool. We're all cool. And then over the past, for the extent of this long winter, we hadn't seen Jeepers Creepers around. We'd only seen Jeepers Creepers baby mama, the baby, and JCBM's best friend, like just a girlfriend. And she seemed happier than usual. She seemed less stressed than usual. And we figured, something must have happened. They must have split up, because we knew Jeepers Creepers had property just north of the city, some property with some acreage and some animals. And he liked spending time up there. He liked, having space, being able to do whatever the fuck he felt like doing. And he wasn't around here all the time anyway. Like maybe 50% of the time he was up at his property up north, in and out of the baby's life. Now, at first, he was here all the time, but it didn't last long. He really did split his time 50-50 between here and property just outside the city. Until this winter, again, we didn't see him for months, and we figured, maybe baby mama had had enough and had cut Jeepers Creepers off, because we heard them arguing all the time. Always. Usually at night. She would be yelling. Maybe her girlfriend would be trying to pull her back from yelling at him. Maybe some other neighbors in the middle of the night would open their door and yell, "Shut the fuck up." And this poor little sweet 3 or 4-year-old girl is stuck in the middle of it. I'll tell you right now, that little baby girl is the real tragedy in this whole thing. No child should have to be stuck in that kind of a situation. It's unfair. They were being unfair to this child, and I feel sorry for the little girl. But anyway, Jeepers Creepers had been gone. Spring comes, and suddenly we see Jeepers Creepers one day. I actually see him in the dim during sunset. I'm taking my dog out to go take a shit. And in the shade, I see a familiar silhouette, because it's that time of night where everyone's just a silhouette. Like when it's really dangerous to drive when the sun is setting, because the contrast between the light in the sky and how dim everything is on the earth makes it even more difficult to see. So I saw the silhouette of Jeepers Creepers and the familiar extra long, cool cigarette hanging from his mouth. No. Newport. He smoked Newports. I saw the Newport lit hanging from his lip, and I heard the familiar, "Hey, man." And I automatically knew it was Jeepers Creepers, and I was like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. What's up?" And he shook his head, and he kind of faced and nodded toward baby mama's apartment and said, "Man, I am done with this bullshit. I am sick of it. I'm fucking moving out. I'm leaving. And I'm like, you're leaving? He's like, yeah, fuck that shit, man. I got a house up north. I'm just going to be living out there, man. I got 9 fucking acres, dude. I'm just going to be living out there. No one tell me what the hell to do. I am sick of her bullshit. I'm like, okay, all right, confirmed. The split has officially come. JC and JCBM are officially done. They're not flirting with it anymore. It is over. And he was getting the last of his stuff out. Because days prior, maybe like at the start of the week, and again, this was like 2 weeks ago, but when this episode comes out, it will have been 3 weeks, maybe 4. Couple dudes who I think I'd seen him with before, Jeepers Creepers, had a U-Haul and they were loading stuff up. And I was outside. I was a little toasty, and I was like, "Hey, you guys coming or going?" And they both looked at each other and then fucking scoffed. They're like, "We're going." I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "You didn't have to make it awkward, but you did. I was just asking." All right. I didn't say that, but I was like, "Okay." And, took the dog out to do his business. And then a week later, I see the silhouette. Jeepers Creepers out there. He said he's had enough of this bullshit. He's out for good. He's just getting his TV and he's gone. It's the last of his stuff. I'm like, okay, well, good knowing you. I shook hands with him. Figured I'd never see him again. And I wouldn't, but I would hear him again. Okay? I guess this episode is just the whole story about my window being broken. I wouldn't see him again, but I would hear him a week later. So. 2 weeks prior to my window being broken, I hear arguing. This was before the cold snap came. It was nice and warm. I had all the windows open. It was Friday, 5 p.m. I was just before 5. I was cooking dinner. I was hungry. I was ready to eat, clean the dishes, take my post-dinner nap, and just, boom, weekend mode, fucking do nothing. While I'm cooking, I hear some yelling outside. And at first I think, it sounds like it could be coming from the neighboring apartment complex. The closer I listened, I was like, no. That's just the way the echo is moving. It's closer. Wait a second. That's our property. And I listened closer, and my girlfriend listened. We both look at each other, and we're like, oh, we know those voices. That's Jeepers Creepers and Jeepers Creepers baby mama getting into it, having a shouting match in front of, baby mama's apartment at the neighboring building to ours. And I don't think anything of it. They're yelling, and I'm like, God damn, like, come on. You've got the little girl. This is not fair to her. Also, fucking have a little bit of fucking respect for your surroundings. You don't live alone. The world does not revolve around you. If you're going to have an argument, take it inside and you don't have to fucking yell that loud. But oh no. That'd make it everyone's problem. So I don't think anything of it. I finish cooking dinner. I eat. I'm watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I clean the dishes, and while I'm cleaning the dishes, the dog is acting squirrely, so I asked my girlfriend, will you please take him out to pee? And so she does, but she looks outside first, and she's mumbles something at me, and I can't hear her over the fucking because I'm got the water running, I'm doing the dishes, I don't hear what she says, but I'm like, okay, please just take him out. It doesn't have to be a big deal. So she takes him out, and then she comes back in, and she's like, there are 3 cop cars outside. And I'm like, what? There's cops? And she was like, yes. I was like, well, did the dog pee at least? She was like, yeah. And then he ran back here. I was like, why are there cops outside? So I don't think anything more of it. I've seen cops around here plenty of times before. It's Tulsa. There's all sorts of crime. I lay down for my post-dinner nap finally. Dishwasher's running. I've cleaned the pots and pans by hand. And just as I got comfortable in the bed, there's a knock at the door. And I'm like, I bet that's a fucking cop. And my girlfriend opens the door and the dog's barking. And there's a brief conversation and the door closes. And I peek outside the window and I see the cop cars, the 3 cop cars. Well, actually 1 car, 2 SUVs are still there. 6 cops in total. 1 cop walking away from our front door. And so I go out the bedroom and I say, what was that about? And she was like, the cop just came and asked me if I'd heard any gunshots. I was like, gunshots? What'd you tell him? She was like, no, I didn't hear any. Because we didn't. We hadn't heard any gunshots. Because there hadn't been any gunshots. Okay, well then. I guess someone called the cops on this fighting couple just to get them to shut up. Why that necessitated 3 cop vehicles, I don't know. But Jeepers Creepers and Baby Mama are black, and this is Oklahoma, and this is a racist fucking state and a racist fucking country. So I figured it's not too big of a stretch to imagine 3 cop cars showing up for 2 people having an argument in their yard. Whatever. Maybe they were bored. I don't know. And I don't think anything more of it. And then the next day, Saturday, Saturday, I go outside, it's morning, and I see Baby Mama, who is also in the process of moving. She's already moving out of the apartment. And my girlfriend had been theorizing that maybe she was moving out so that Jeepers Creepers couldn't find her or something. Like, well, that's fucking scary. And Baby Mama's out there, and her dad is present. And they're loading the last of the stuff from the apartment into her vehicle and her father's truck. And her vehicle, I notice, has on the top left of the windshield written in like some kind of white chalk marker sort of thing, number and letter code, preceded by TPD, Tulsa Police Department. I know this code. I've had a vehicle towed before. It's what they do when they take your car. It's what they do when they impound your vehicle too. Why had the cops impounded her vehicle? It was a great mystery. And I wasn't about to ask her about it, Baby Mama. So I just say a pleasant hello, and I don't want to get into it too much. And I go about my merry way. And then they're all gone. They're all gone. And we don't think anything of it. 2 weeks later, a week before me recording this episode right now, boom, bang, shatter, rock in the window. Was it trying to go through? I don't know. Monday comes. I go to the office, the apartment, main office. I talk to the property manager. She's cool. I show her the pictures. She says, "What the fuck? That is terrifying." And before I can give her my theory that I think maybe it was just some idiot teenager drunk, I don't know, just some random fucking thing, she hits me with her theory. Her theory is, and this is her words, "I think it's retaliation." And I said, "What?" And she said, "I think it could be retaliation because this is not the fucking project and I will not allow people to act like it is." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "That argument." And I was like, wait. Are you talking about the guy? And I tell her, like, we call him Jeepers Creepers. And she thought that was funny because she understood the reference too. And she was like, "Yes, I'm talking about that argument. They had guns." And I said, "What?" Turns out the argument was not just between Jeepers Creepers and Jeepers Creepers Baby Mama. Oh no. Baby Mama had her brother with her, who was helping her move stuff and who was apparently there to help back her up because I guess they had anticipated Jeepers Creepers showing up, which Jeepers Creepers had shown up, and got into an argument with Baby Mama and Baby Mama's brother. Jeepers Creepers whipped out a gun and was pointing it at them. To which Baby Mama's brother whipped out his gun, and they were pointing their guns at each other in the parking lot, right out in front of my apartment, screaming at each other, waving their guns around, while baby mama is crying and screaming. And I heard her say this, and it didn't really click for me what she said, but it made, I understood what she said now in retrospect. She screamed something what sounded like, and it turned out to be, "Don't shoot. The baby is in the car." That poor little girl is sitting in the car while her parents are screaming at each other and two parties are pointing guns at each other with the baby in the fucking car. Oh, but it wasn't just them, apparently. Jeepers Creepers had a friend of his there to back him up. And he, too, had a gun. And someone in my building was the first to call the cops. We didn't call the cops. I told you my side of the story. I was cooking dinner. We didn't think anything of it. We thought it was fucking annoying and it'd blow over. Certainly not the first fight we'd heard. But it was bigger than we thought, bigger than we knew. And that explains why there were 3 cop vehicles and 6 cops here hanging out for an hour or so. It explains why they came to the door and knocked and asked if Emily had heard a gunshot. Because the cops had seen my girlfriend take our dog out. So in their mind, they're thinking, the cops are thinking, oh, this person's been present here. Maybe they are a witness to this. Maybe they're the ones who called the cops. But we weren't. But according to the property manager, someone in our building called the cops first, and then 2 other apartments in the neighboring apartment, the one that, baby mama lived in, 2 separate parties called the cops. So 3 parties called the cops all together, and the cops came. And no gunshots were fired, but I didn't realize there were guns present. And that also might explain why baby mama's car was impounded. Maybe they were searching it for something. I don't know. So then, property manager was like, maybe they thought you guys called the cops. And this was retaliation. Maybe they're trying to scare you. Was there anything written on the rock? And I was like, no, I checked. But I saved the rock. I've still got it. And so that's what happened. Promptly, the property calls some AAA maintenance. Guy comes out to inspect the window to see if he's got some new glass to put in or if he needs to get one custom fit. So the guy comes out, AAA dude. I'm chatting up with him. I think we're about the same age. Cool guy. We're getting along and everything. And, we're chatting, and then one of my neighbors goes outside to take their dogs out, a neighbor in my building, really nearby. And I'd been meaning to ask them ever since I'd heard about this gun thing coming out. And so they came out, and I asked them, hey, did you happen to hear anything? And they were like, yeah, we heard a bang and what sounded like glass shattering. We didn't hear any footsteps or anything else. We were wondering what was going on. And then the next morning, we came out and there was a little bit of glass in front of our door. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I tried to clean up what I could without any falling down in front of yours. I'm sorry. And they were like, don't worry about it. Are you guys okay? We're like, yeah. And so I asked about if they had been around for that fight 2 weeks prior. And they were like, yeah. And we exchanged details of the story. Meanwhile, the AAA guy who's inspecting the broken window is just like, this is so fucked up. I think it could be retaliation. And I learned a new detail from the neighbor. So what do we have here? Baby mama's brother. Baby mama's brother has a gun. Jeepers Creepers has a gun. Jeepers Creepers' friend has a gun. That's 3 guns waving around at each other. Oh, wait, but there's a 4th that the neighbors saw. And I think the neighbors they said they saw the whole thing. And I think they might have been the one who called the cops first, which good for them. One, they saw the whole thing and were scared to go outside for the rest of the weekend because Jeepers Creepers didn't just have one friend with him. A second friend of his showed up wearing a ski mask, also armed with a gun. Yeah, a fucking ski mask with a gun. 4 guns, waving around, a crying baby, a screaming mother, cops, so on and so forth. So, yeah, that really put the fear in me for the rest of the week. This entire past week, that I've been dealing with that, going back and forth between, do I need to be on the lookout? Is there retaliation that I need to worry about because they might think I called the cops on them? Or was it just some random person? Which, again, I'm not ruling that out. I still think it could have been a random, mindless event. Collateral damage to someone's dumb random idea, a dumb impulse. No cars were messed up, fortunately. And if it was retaliation, I think there were some other tactics that could have been taken and some other things could have happened. So I'm still not entirely sure that it was retaliation. But nevertheless, it was still on my mind as the week went on. And I paid my taxes, which decimated all of my savings, because I'm self-employed. So I have to pay everything else. I don't get any match from an employer or anything. Yeah, it's been an extremely rough week. And I had to do nothing yesterday, and I have a plan to do nothing today. And I thought this episode would be about half as long as it is. And I first thought it was going to be about not Warren G. Harding, not Calvin Coolidge, but Herbert Hoover. But it isn't. And I thought I was going to read some Today I Fucked Up on Reddit, but I'm saving that for the bonus episode, which you can access at patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. That's all for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you stick around for the bonus one. It's going to be more fun. That's all the tea, baby. I'll catch you next time. Bye.